There's a conversation that almost nobody is having, and it is this one. What happens to you emotionally, psychologically, spiritually when the narcissist in your life dies? Because if you are watching this, there's a good chance you already know that the answer is complicated. Maybe you felt something you didn't expect. Maybe you felt nothing and that scared you. Maybe you felt relief and then felt like a terrible person for feeling it. Or maybe it hasn't happened yet. I want you to stay with me today because what you are carrying right now deserves to be spoken out loud. My name is Michele Paradise. I'm a trauma-informed therapist with over 20 years experience, and I specialize in narcissistic abuse recovery. I'm also a narcissistic abuse survivor myself. So I bring my learned knowledge and my life knowledge together to help you navigate the most important relationship in your life, which is the one with yourself. And I can tell you from both my clinical work and my own personal experience that this particular kind of grief is one of the most disorienting, isolating, and misunderstood experiences a survivor can go through. So let's talk about it. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. Please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos going forward. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button so I can see you again and you can see me again. So when someone dies, we are handed a script by society. You cry, you mourn, you celebrate their life, you move through the stages of grief, and eventually you find some kind of peace. But when the person who dies is someone who abused you, that script falls apart completely. You might cry, you might feel absolutely nothing. You might sit at the funeral and feel like you are watching it happen to someone else entirely. And then there is the one that nobody warns you about. Relief, a quiet, settling sense that something threatening has left the world, that the chaos has finally stopped, that the phone will never ring with that name on the screen again. And I will share this with you. I am sorry that my mother-in-law died recently. However, she was 98 years old. She had a good life, and she is the OG narc in the family, the original narc, and she has made life very, very difficult for many people. So I am experiencing all of these things myself. And then almost immediately, the shame arrives. What kind of person feels relieved when someone dies? I've certainly felt this. What does it say about me that I'm not devastated? I want to answer that question directly. It says that you were abused. It says that your nervous system spent years in a state of high alert around this person. And it says that your body is responding honestly to the truth of what that relationship actually was. Relief is not a moral failing. It is a psychological response to the removal of a chronic threat. You are allowed to feel it. Here's what makes this grief so uniquely painful. You are not grieving the person who died. You are grieving the parent or grandparent or mother-in-law or father-in-law or brother or sister you needed and never had. The partner who should have chosen you, the relationship that was always just out of reach, no matter how hard you tried to earn it. You are grieving the apology that will never come now, the acknowledgement that is now impossible, the conversation you rehearsed 100 times in your head, the one where they finally saw you, finally understood what they did, finally said the words you needed to hear. That door is closed permanently. And that is a very specific kind of devastation that has no name in our culture and very little space in our collective understanding of grief. In my work, drawing on the frameworks of Dr. Gabor Mate, I often talk about how we grieve not just people, but possibilities. The possibility of repair, the possibility of being truly known by the person who was supposed to know you best. When a narcissist dies, that possibility dies with them. And allowing yourself to grieve, that, really grieve it, is not weakness. It is one of the most important things you can do for your healing. Now, I want to talk about something that adds a whole other layer of pain to this experience: other people. When someone dies, the people around you have expectations. They expect you to be sad. They expect you to show up to the funeral and hold it together or fall apart in the right ways. They expect your grief to look a certain way and last a certain amount of time. And when your grief doesn't match that template, the isolation can be profound. Because how do you explain to someone who wasn't there, who only ever saw the charming, put together, well-liked version of this person, that your relationship with them was something entirely different behind closed doors. And that was me and my mother, outlaw, as I now call her, as I'm divorced from her son. She didn't like me from the moment she set eyes on me, and she didn't make any attempt to repair that. So how do you stand in a room full of people celebrating someone's life when your experience of that life was one of confusion, manipulation, and pain? You are not obligated to perform grief you don't feel. You are not obligated to grieve on anyone else's timeline or in anyone else's way. Your experience of that relationship was real. Your pain was real. And your healing does not require you to pretend otherwise, even in the face of other people's expectations. I want to spend some time on something that I see blindsides survivors over and over again. Because for many people, the death of a narcissist is not the end of the story, unfortunately. It is the beginning of a whole new chapter of pain. The will is read. And that is when everything unravels. Old secrets surface, financial betrayals come to light, hidden assets are discovered, money, property, sentimental items are distributed in ways that feel calculated, even from beyond the grave. People are left out who should have been included. People are prioritized who had no right to be. I have sat with clients who describe the reading of the will as the moment they finally understood the full extent of what had been done to them. Because narcissistic control does not always end at death. Sometimes the will is the last act of power, the final word in a lifelong pattern of manipulation. And if this has happened to you, I want you to hear this clearly. The rage you feel is appropriate. The devastation is appropriate. The sense of being betrayed one final time by someone who is no longer even here to be confronted is one of the most destabilizing experiences I have ever witnessed in my professional and personal life. It reopens wounds that were just beginning to close. It forces you to grieve all over again, often while simultaneously navigating legal and financial complexity that the narcissist, intentionally or not, has left behind like a parting gift of chaos. You are not overreacting. You are responding to a real and deliberate injury. I want to bring all of this together now and say something simple. The complicated feelings you are carrying are not a sign that something is wrong with you. They are a sign that something was wrong in the relationship, a very important distinction. Grief after narcissistic abuse is layered. It is nonlinear. It does not follow the stages you read about in books or that timeline that other people expect of you. Some days you will feel free. Some days the loss will hit you in ways you cannot explain to anyone around you. Some days the anger will feel bigger than the sadness. Some days you will grieve someone you also hated. And all of that can be true at the same time. There is no right way to do this. What there is your way. And your way deserves to be honored, supported, and held with compassion, not judgment. If you are somewhere in this right now, whether the loss is recent or years ago, whether you are in the middle of a legal battle over an estate or simply trying to make sense of feelings that don't have a name yet, I want you to know this. You are not alone in this experience, and you are not broken for having it. The grief you are carrying is real, even if the relationship wasn't what it should have been. Even if relief was part of what you felt. Even if other people don't understand why you're still processing it. It is real, and so are you. If this resonated, please share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Leave me a comment below and tell me where you are in your journey. I read every single one. Take good care of yourself. Stay safe. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.